Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. So today we are going to continue the discussion on chapter number 5. Okay. Before we discuss and before we proceed ahead, anyone has any doubt with respect to any of the part that we have discussed till now? Any doubt with any of the part that we have discussed with till now? Anyone? Nope. No doubts? Okay. Can quickly someone summarize for me the essay 500 that we have discussed in the last session? Quickly, essay 500, what we discussed. Quickly, guys. Can anyone summarize essay 500? No? Okay. So what we discussed in the last session with respect to essay 500 was we discussed about audit evidence. See, when we discussed about the audit evidence, basically we understood it's not only about the planning. Once you do the planning, yes, that is very important. Once we prepare the strategy, once we prepare the overall audit plan program, then we need to execute that. And evidence is not only about collecting the document or information, it is about collecting the relevant documentation, collecting the relevant information, collecting the reliable information. Remember, when I talk about audit evidence, we talk about sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Okay, that is, the audit evidence has to be sufficient with respect to the quantity and appropriate with respect to the quality. When I say appropriate with respect to the quality, that means it has to be, you can say, reliable and the relevant. Number two, when we discussed about the reliability and the relevance of the audit evidence, at that point in time, we also discussed about, okay, that now when we are collecting information, when we are collecting audit evidence, okay, what is relevance? What is reliability? How we can think of relevance and the reliability with respect to that particular audit evidence. We discussed about the logical connection. We discussed about if the information is obtained from the independent or objective source, then it will be reliable. Remember, we discussed about that, okay, we are not only talking about third party, we are talking about independent and objective source, which is way beyond, like, beyond qualification for the third party. Third party still can be a related party, but when I talk about independent and objective source, it is, the source which can be a third party, but it has to be independent so that the information we are getting is reliable. Then we discussed about information to be used as an audit evidence. In that, we discussed about what are the things that we need to think for the, in that information. Let's say the information is prepared by the management expert, then we have to talk about capabilities, we have to talk about competency, we have to talk about objectivity of that expert. We need to think about the management bias, management override of control of, the risk in that particular scenario, the work that has been performed by the expert, and we need to evaluate his work with respect to the appropriateness. Plus, when we are using the information produced by the entity, we will go to the source, we will go to the logic, we will go to the parameters to understand whether the information produced by the entity can be used by us for any of the purpose. Remember, we discussed about this diagram, like parameters are there, report logic is there, we will test one samples, testing of unauthorized changes kind of thing. In the source data, we will think of the completeness, how we will achieve the completeness, TOC by TOD, both of the things, yes or no? So all these things we will perform in order to provide the information, okay, to validate the information. And then we can say that, okay, if this is the information, then or audit evidence, then yes, it is reliable, relevant, it is appropriate for our purpose. We discussed about the inconsistency, like if there are inconsistency with respect to the balances, then we need to understand why there is an inconsistency, and accordingly we need to address that inconsistency. Okay, that was SA 500. Can anyone tell me quickly what was in SA 501? Anyone?
It was an audit of specific items.
Yes.
In that, three things was considered. First is inventory, second is litigation and claim, and third is segment information.
Okay. And what were the things that we were supposed to check for all the three items? What were the things, for example, in inventory, what we are required to check? For litigation and claim, what we are required to check? For segment reporting, what we are required to check? Yes,
For
very
the
good
inventory,
names.
we were required to check existence and condition of that inventory by attending physical count and all. And for litigation and claim, we were required to know completeness of that litigation and claim. And for
Yes,
segment information, whether reporting is done as per applicable financial reporting framework or not, that we need to check.
absolutely correct. Yes, very good. Now, can anyone tell me quickly how you can get the comfort on the existence of inventory? How you can get the comfort on the existence of the inventory? Come on, quickly. We have discussed already these areas, these points. How you can get the comfort on the existence of the inventory?
So
Quickly.
by attending physical count of the inventory,
Yes, yes, very good. What else?
or else management is counting, and then we can just attend how they are counting, and we can just validate that.
Okay, okay, yes. What else we are required to do when we are verifying the existence and the conditions of the inventory? Quickly, guys.
Or sir, and there's some adjustment also need to be done. Suppose in case till 20th March audit is means inventory count is done, then and next count is done on suppose 20th April. So during this gap means till 31st March we need to add purchase and less sale, and after 31st March we need to less purchase and add the sales.
Yes, very good. Absolutely correct. Yes. So when we were talking about existence and the conditions of the inventory, see, we were talking about two things. One, we need to think of beyond the test of details. It may be possible that inventory is so huge we cannot along get the comfort from the test of details. So we need to get the information from the test of control. We need to get the audit evidence from the test of controls. Now, how test of controls? We need to attend the physical inventory count. Okay. We need to evaluate the management instructions for that, how they are doing, observe the performance, inspect the inventory, perform the test count. Okay. And then we need to perform the inventory procedure. We need to perform the procedures over the final inventory records, whether they are actually reflecting the balance that is there or not. Okay, so you can say that this is okay. Some of the portion is TOC portion, some of the portion is a TOD portion, and by mix of both, we are getting comfort on the existence and the condition of the inventory. Now, there could be a scenario where inventory count is performed on some other date compared to the financial year end. At that point in time, you need to verify whether the balance which is there at the financial year end is in line with the count you have performed. So let's say, for example, we perform count on 20th. So we'll do the roll forward procedures to bring back the inventory level at the 31st. And accordingly, we need to perform these additional procedures to get the inventory balance and then to verify with the final result. If we are not able to attend the count, perform the count on alternate day, appoint some another expert, perform alternate procedures or modify the opinion if it is not practicable. If it is impracticable, then only. Otherwise, on the accounts of difficulty, you cannot modify the opinion. Okay. If the inventory is with the third party, you can request the confirmation and perform the inspection or audit or other audit procedures. So that was with the existence and the condition of the inventory. Second was completeness of the litigations and claims, where we will review the minutes and meetings, we will review the legal expense, confirmation to the legal external counsel, okay, and we will obtain management representation. After doing everything, if we are not able to get sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, we may think of modifying. But this is the way you can ensure completeness of litigations and claims. Okay, kind of it is similar to testing of unrecorded liabilities that we do in the audit of a financial statement. Like, sometimes it is also known as testing of unrecorded liabilities. Okay, then comes the presentation and disclosure of segment information. Pretty much easy, simple. Like, first understand the method that is used by the management, then determine whether this is the method which is followed by the applicable financial reporting framework. Okay, and if required, perform other analytical procedures to verify the segment information. That's it. So to verify the presentation of disclosure of segment information, you need to refer to the applicable financial reporting framework, understand its requirement, and accordingly verify the segment reporting, which is done, or the presentation and disclosure of the segment report. This was SA 501. Any doubt with this? Any doubt? No doubt? Okay. If no doubts, then we will proceed to the new topic that I want to start today, which is on the SA 505. What is SA 505? What is SA 505?
External confirmation.
Absolutely correct. External confirmations. So, when we talk about external confirmations, okay, what it means, like when I say external confirmations, the term external, what do you mean by external confirmations? From where these confirmations are being taken?
It is outside the entity, means someone third party. From that, we need to get confirmation.
Third party. External confirmation is a confirmation taken from the third party. Very good. Now, understand why we are taking external confirmations. What is the need of external confirmations? Why we cannot just rely upon the audit evidence which is there within the company? Why we have to go outside to the third party? What is the need of that?
Sir, independence, objectivity, or biasness maybe in case of internal, but if we get external confirmation, then that evidence will be more reliable and
It is
appropriate.
more reliable. Yes. More reliable. Correct, Mega. More reliable. Okay. To corroborate with the other audit evidence. Yes, very good, Sanjay. So here we are going to the third party. We are obtaining the external confirmations. Basis, we want something more reliable. We want something that is more, we can rely upon compared to what is there already in the organization. Now, this can happen because of the risk which are we have already identified. Okay, if you have identified there's a risk of material misstatement, now if there is a significant risk, you will require the audit evidence where you can rely upon more. As a result, you may go for the external confirmation. Now, the way we discussed was external confirmation was basically from third party. Agreed. Now, this is something coming from third party. Now, tell me one thing. If you, let's say, for example, send a confirmation letter to auditor, or let's say to anyone, auditor sends a confirmation letter to anyone, let's say debtor or whomsoever you want to send. They call you and they say, okay, we confirm it. Is it fine? Is it fine if you get the call from that person and that person says, yeah, we are fine with that?
No, sir, we need to check documents as well.
Documents as in?
Such as account receivable balance, we can ask the ledger. how much balance is appearing in their ledger.
Okay. Yes. What is the balance appearing in their ledger? Yes, very good. What else? What else you would require, okay, in order to basically, you know, like, uh, to validate that confirmation, or you can accept directly. Yes, very good, Mega. Written confirmation. Okay, very good, Chitra. Written confirmation. So we are talking about confirmation that we have received. It should be written, writing. Okay. So we need a written confirmation. Perfectly fine. Third party, from third party, plus it should be written. What else should be there? Or if it is a third party, it is written, we will accept. Or do you think there is something else that you need before you want to rely upon this confirmation? Is there anything else that you think, okay, we should rely before we proceed to accept this confirmation? Anyone?
Sir, sir, first we need to check from which source we received that. The source of receipt is very, very important. And also we need to call the person who responded, and also the estimate from which email ID is received. The address also to be checked for the authentication purposes. We are not
Yes,
sure who has sent that communication to us.
absolutely. Yes, very good. So what I'm saying here is, or what, like whatever you have said here is that external confirmation that we are talking about over here. Okay, the external confirmation that we are talking about here is something that we are getting from the person itself, where we can verify that it has been sent by the third party. Okay, uh, it is sent by the third party directly to us. So you can say direct from third party. Okay, so once you receive a confirmation from the third party directly, which is written, you can say it's an external confirmation. Okay, where, like, when I say directly from the third party, you will verify, okay, this is something, we are receiving from this third party itself. So you can validate that. Perfectly fine. Now, do you know how many type of confirmations are there? How many type of external confirmations are there?
There are two types, sir. One is a positive confirmation, another one is a negative confirmation.
Absolutely correct. Positive and the negative confirmations. Yes, very good. Now, this positive and the negative confirmations, do you know what is the difference between positive and the negative confirmations? So we understood the type now. There are two types: positive confirmations and negative confirmations. So what is the difference between both of them, and why we have two?
Sir,
Why we have two? Yeah.
okay, when the positive confirmation is there, the confirming party, which means the third party, they will confirm whether they are agreeing or disagreeing with that information requested by the auditor. In the negative confirmation, when the confirming party is disagree, that time only he will respond to it.
Yes. Okay. Very good. So when I talk about positive confirmation is kind of a scenario where the confirming party says that, okay, no, 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 I agree with the things, or I disagree with the things that you have shared on the confirmation. Let's say, for example, you are sending the confirmation to that particular person. Let's say data is there, you have sent a confirmation. Now, if that data is not replying back, okay, if the data is not replying back, that is called as a non-response, no response or non-response. Okay, there are multiple terms for that, but we call it as a no response. You can say non-response also, perfectly fine. Both are there, both are appropriate terms. Okay. So what is a non-response? Non-response is a scenario when they don't reply. You don't get a response. That means there is no confirmation in place. You cannot verify whether the person agrees or disagrees. In positive confirmation, okay, a failure from the side of confirming party, or you get the confirmation returned undelivered. Okay, that is kind of a confirmation where you have a non-response if they do not respond. But in negative confirmation, if they do not respond, you don't call a non-response. You call it okay, accepted. So if no response means accepted. Means you can say agreement on matter, whichever is written in that letter. Okay. In positive confirmation, if no response, we term that as a non-response. That is either like the person, when there is a positive confirmation, he has to confirm by agree or disagree. If you do not get agree or disagree both, like either you get a agree or you get a disagree, but if you don't get both, any of the one from the agreement or the disagreement over the matters that you have written in the confirmation, it becomes a non-response. So in a positive confirmation, response is necessary to confirm. So you can say over here, that is, when I say positive confirmation, that means mandatory response is required. Otherwise, it will become a non-response. In negative confirmation, if there is no response, that means an agreement. So mandatory response is not required over there. Okay. So in that particular scenario, mandatory response is not required. So this is the basic difference between positive confirmation and the negative confirmation. Any questions or doubt on this part? Okay. Now that was positive and the negative confirmation. Now we understood that we need confirmations because we need more reliable audit evidence. For that, we need to now first understand the objective of the auditor in this scenario. So the objective of the auditor for the external confirmation process is that when using external confirmation, the procedure, okay, when using the external confirmation procedure, the objective of the auditor is to design and perform such procedures to obtain relevant and reliable audit evidence. Relevant and reliable. We are taking the audit evidence from the third party. Now we need to make sure that whatever confirmation we are taking from the third party has to be reliable and relevant. We need to understand both these things with respect to the external confirmation, that the external confirmation that you are receiving has to be reliable and the relevant both. Okay. Now, how can you make the external confirmation more reliable? Can anyone give me some examples? How will you make external confirmations more reliable? Quickly, guys. How can you make external confirmations more reliable? Anyone?
So we can send external confirmation in case of positive confirmation, in which that external party mandatorily has to respond. then that will be more reliable than negative confirmation.
Okay. So mandatory response makes more reliable. Fine. Great. What else?
Sir, the audit evidence is more reliable when we are getting directly from the independent third party.
Okay. Fine. Independently from directly third party. Yes. Anything else that you can do to make it more reliable? Anything else you can do to make it more reliable?
It should be the paper form or email, the written communication.
Okay. What else you can do to make it more reliable? Think of the procedures that you can do to make it more reliable. Check the integrity and objectivity of the source, Sanjay. How will you check that? How will you check the integrity and objectivity of the source? How will you check the integrity and the objectivity of the source? Think, because this is the point where you need to understand how you will make this more reliable. Think of this, that how will you make this more reliable?
Sir, we can understand by what is the experience or professional qualification of that third party by this way, or also if we have earlier communicated with that third party, then also we can understand like what is their objective and how they respond. So by this manner, we can understand what is their independence and objectivity.
Okay. Let's say, for example, we will discuss this with an example that is will be more appropriate. Okay, we will be able to understand. Let's say you have received an external confirmation in 3 scenarios. Okay, we will discuss 3 different scenarios for external confirmation, and then you tell me what do you think. Just a minute. Okay. So scenario number 1. Mr. A, customer of the company, shared his balance ledger by his own to the company, and then it was shared to the auditor. Example number 2. Mr. A shared his balance ledger to the company on company's request, which was shared with the auditor. C. Mr. A shared his balance ledger to the company on the request of the auditor, which was then shared to the auditor. Which one is more reliable? Which one do you think is more reliable in this scenario? Anyone?
I think second one, sir.
Second one. Okay. Sanjay, you are saying last one. Okay, fine.
Sir, I think none of them are reliable, sir, because it's not directly received from the confirming party to auditors.
Okay. None of the reliable, none of them reliable. Okay, fine. Anyone else with some different answer? Chitra, second one. Okay. Mega, none of the reliable. Okay. So, yes, if I say second one or the third one, it will be incorrect. None of them are reliable. Reason because here I am getting not directly from the customer. We discussed this. Here it was shared to the auditor later with in each of the 3 scenarios. Shared to the auditor. They are not reliable. It has to be there from the auditor. Are you getting the point? Otherwise, you cannot rely upon the external confirmation. We'll discuss one more example. And then you will tell me Okay, it is appropriate or not. Let's say management provided you, like this is the auditor, okay, management shared authority letter. What is authority letter? That with the help of that you can communicate with uh, the debtors, let's say debtors, trade receivables. Plus they provided you trade receivables contact details. Okay, now auditor by using these two created confirmation. Okay, balance confirmation was created, and this balance confirmation was shared, let's say, to all the debtors. And out of this there was one of the debtor, Mr. A. Mr. A responded back and confirmed balance. Do you think there is any issue in this entire process? Balance confirmation was shared by auditor. Mr. A, who is the trade receivable, okay, he is a TR. He shared back the balance confirmation to the auditor, like by confirming the details. Do you think any issue is there in this entire process?
I
Anyone?
think no issue, sir. It is directly received by auditor.
Directly received by auditor, no issues. Okay. Anyone else with some different different thought or answer? Do you think this can be an issue? Yes, no? Come on, guys. This is very important to understand. That's why there is a concept of reliability here. If this was so easy that, there was no need of reliability, but there is. Come on, guys, quickly. What do you think? Is there any issue in this entire process?
Sir, I feel that trade receivable contact details is provided by the management. I
Hmm.
feel that it is not appropriate to trust by the auditor. The reason is that having the transaction, whenever there is a trade receivable, definitely there will be the invoice and communication and payment received from them. So many communication happened. The auditor should always rely upon that contact details is provided on that the real document. They have to see. However, yeah, that is what I feel it is inappropriate, and the authorization letter is not needed for in all cases. When there is no such reply or responses is received, that time the auditor can get introduced with them. So I am so and so auditor, so that this is authorization letter is attached. When there is no information or reply is received from that particular trade receivable person, that time it's appropriate. In each and every time, whenever you are attaching the authorization letter and getting the contact details, I feel it is not appropriate.
Okay. So you are saying address is not appropriate. Taking address from management is not appropriate.
And also that
Okay.
authorization letter is not needed for all the cases.
Okay. Authorization letter is kind of, like mandatory requirement reason, because otherwise they will not respond to you to back, because other how they will understand that it is appropriate or not.
See, for example, if the continuance of audit, existing audit, in that case, the last year also the auditor sent the communication, this responded date. Again and again, if you are sending, I think that in
No.
that case.
So the same authority letter is being attached with the each and every confirmation that is rolled out.
Okay. Okay, if that is the case, I don't object on that. But getting the contact details from that management, I feel that it is not appropriate.
Absolutely correct. Okay. Very good. Yes, you're right. So getting this detail from the management is not appropriate because they can temper it with the contact details here. Okay. So if they temper with the contract details, then it will be a very big issue. Absolutely correct. Yes. Correct, Mega. Correct, Chitra. So the contact details that we are getting here in this particular scenario is a problem. This is the problem. This particular part, contact details, what if they provide you of the third party? Now, in that case, how will you get the contact details, or from where you will get the contact details?
So, sir, when there is a trade receivable balance is outstanding, there will be the invoices definitely, wherein we have definitely the customer address is there. Whenever we build with them, there is a some agreement between the company, where and all we can easily get it. Other website is there. From website we can find it out. To fix that, we can call them to verify which person is appropriate to send that address, right cost. Because if
Okay,
the auditor is choose to send information for the which item to use the confirmation, if it is a confidential, sometimes if it is reaching to different person, then the breach of confidentiality. So if
okay,
the auditor should take more care when before he is sending, he should to decide the information of the to be confirmed. Which information we need to select the appropriate person who is the confirming party. That is
yes,
very important.
absolutely
And
correct.
also
Yes,
we need to design the procedure to which type of confirmation we are going to send, whether it is a negative or the positive confirmation. These are the things is very important before we sending it.
yes, absolutely correct. Very good said. So when I talk about the confirmation process over there, the requirement is pretty simple, straightforward. You need to process, or you need to, do the confirmation process in a way that it remains reliable and the relevant. When I talk about reliable and the relevant, the only way to make the confirmation process and its outcome reliable and the relevant by taking the control of the confirmation process with you. So auditor has to maintain the control. When I say maintain the control, determine what information is required to be confirmed. Select the confirming party, design the confirmation request appropriately. That means how I am designing it. Am I designing it through the positive confirmation way? Am I designing it from the negative confirmation way? Am I keeping it open-ended? Am I asking him the specific question or specific balance? How I am designing the confirmation, sending the request, following up the request when applicable, or when if it is not getting the response. So all those things you have to make sure that when you are sending the confirmations, you are in charge of that, you are in control of that. Are you getting the point? So only then only you can say that confirmation is reliable and relevant. We will come to a point, but this is how you can make the confirmation more reliable. Clear? Any doubt? Very good, Mega. So you can get the contact details of the customer, of the party, from their invoice, from their website, from their documents, agreement, as correctly said. Yes, you can get these details from the GST portal, from the GST number. Yes, you can get the contact details of that particular person or the party, okay, which is available on the public platform, on the official records, or the documentation you already have, rather than directly taking it from the management and blindly relying on that. Okay, so this is how you can take control of the confirmation. So first is you decide what information to be confirmed. Then you design that, okay, this is the confirmation request that I will be sending. Then you select the confirming party, and then you send follow-ups or verify the responses. This is how you need to have a control over the confirmation process. So external confirmation process, have the control. That's the very important part. The control over the process by deciding the information to be confirmed, selecting the appropriate confirming party, designing the confirmation request, and sending follow-ups. This is how you can get the control. Clear? Now, my second question is, what if you have a doubt on the confirmation? What you will do? What you will do if you have a doubt? Anyone?
We will apply some other audit procedure to get rid of that doubt. Means we will get some more audit evidence which is sufficient and appropriate.
Yes. Okay.
Sir,
Okay.
is that your question is related to we received the confirmation, whether the confirmation is correct or not, on that whether we have doubt. Are you asking
Yes.
that question or any other question, sir?
No, that only. Let's say, for example, you got the confirmation, but you have a doubt on that confirmation. You cannot validate the confirmation's genuinity. How will you validate it? Or what you
Okay.
will do?
Okay. Definitely we will check the source to be checked from where we received that information, and probably we can call the person, we can make a call. Sir, we have received this confirmation from your side, whether it is a correct, whether you have sent or not. Also, we can check the email ID from which address they have sent. Sometimes the company itself sending to me, the auditor, stating that the confirmation from the third party. So, which location they said, what is the mode they sent, where the postal or how, which address. Sometimes the author is the signature also we need to verify. Suppose if we received last year, this year also received, then we can validate. Definitely we can call the person directly to the company. We can confirm these are the confirmation requests we received from your side. Whether have you sent it or not?
Absolutely correct. If you have a doubt, always perform additional procedure. And if you have a doubt in genuine, what we do is we call that person. We try to reach out to that person to confirm. Sir, did you send this confirmation? Did you mark this thing in the confirmation? Did you write this thing in the confirmation? Can you confirm over the call what you have written in the confirmation? Can you confirm over the call what is the balance of that particular thing that you have mentioned in the confirmation? We double check it whenever we have a doubt. So by performing additional procedures, we check for the genuinity of the confirmation. If we don't have the reliability, are you getting the point? So this is how we need to make sure that, okay, we are relying on the confirmation. If it is not, then we cannot actually move ahead. Till that time, we like it will be not counted as a reliable confirmation, and you will not have the reliable audit evidence. Now, second question is, what if the management denies you to send the confirmation? What if the management says, please do not send the confirmation? What you will do? Okay, Sanjay, one of the very good point. I will take it up in a while. But what if the management says, sorry, please do not take, do not send the confirmation? What you will do? Or management doesn't allow you to send the confirmations?
Sir, firstly, we need to check the reason behind it. What is the reason why they are not allowing to send the auditor to get the confirmation?
Hmm.
Whether there is any legal issue or something else,
Hmm.
the party itself is dissolved.
Hmm.
or company is closed. Like that, we have to see. We have to always do the additional procedure to check that.
Hmm.
We have to evaluate that implication also. When there is yet unreasonable, we need to reassess the risk assessment also.
Yes,
We have
absolutely.
to, yeah, because the management is not allowing, which means there is a chance for fraud risk. We have to extend our timing and nature and timing also. We need to spend more to get that reliable and appropriate audit evidence.
Yes,
Definitely, we have to do the additional audit procedure, sir.
correct. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. So when you management doesn't say that, okay, if management says do not send, correct, Mega, at that point in time, we need to check its implication on our opinion. And we need to see that whether whatever management says is reasonable or not. For example, management may say that, okay, do not send the confirmation. The party is into the liquidation. They will not reply back to you. Or second, what they can say is like, hey, don't send the confirmation. We are in the dispute with the party. We are in dispute with on some agreement part. The case is pending in the court. They will definitely provide you the wrong information. So there are scenarios where the request could be reasonable. There are scenarios where the request will be unreasonable. Let's say, for example, outstanding amount. Now, there was a dispute going on between the company and the third party with respect to the amount to be paid by the third party to company. Now, the third party was not paying that much amount, and uh, basically, the third party was having a dispute with the company. Then in that case, the company cannot say that, like you basically send the confirmation, because for sure they will provide the wrong information. Are you getting the point? So you need to assess whether the information is reasonable or unreasonable, and accordingly then you need to take the decision what to do. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir. Are you asking any further questions, sir?
No, no, no. So I'm saying that once you decide whether it's a reasonable or unreasonable, then only proceed ahead and see the impact. If it is reasonable, then what you will do? Let's say, for example, if it is a reasonable, now management says, please do not send the confirmation. It's a reasonable request. Now what you will do?
Then
I'm
we
talking
will
about
do
trade receivable balances.
we will do the additional procedures.
Okay. Additional additional procedure like
Like within the next month or with prior month, what are the balances communication between whether the balance is genuine or not, whether the balance is provided in that ledger, whether it is really received in the bank statement or not. Like that, we can
yes,
cross verify it.
absolutely correct. So very good. So correctly said that we can verify subsequent receipts. Very good, Sanjay. You are saying that we will verify whether the amount has been received after the year end for that sale or not. Okay. Accordingly, we can say that, okay, we have performed the additional procedures. And after performing that, the very important part comes is, have you got the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence? And based on that, you can take the final decision. Okay, I do have, I don't have. If you do have, then fine. If you don't have, then you may think of qualifying the opinion. Okay. Then, so understand, if management refuses, then understand whether it's reasonable, unreasonable. If it is reasonable, then go for additional procedures. If it is unreasonable, then the first and foremost thing comes into my mind is a fraud risk. Why management unreasonably is denying me to communicate with the third party? Is it a fraud involved? This could result into the fraud risk for me. If it is the unreasonable, I will evaluate the fraud risk impact also. And as usual, I will communicate with those charged with governance. Why? Can anyone tell me why we will communicate with those charged with governance? Where it is written in XA 260 to communicate with those charged with governance for this?
Sir, here the management is refused. There is, when the management is refusing, they are not providing the information. We have the other source where we can go. We can only go to the those charges governance only. Suppose if the those charges governance is not there, then we what we do? We cannot do anything on that. When there is a available those charges governance, definitely we can go with them. Sir, this is a situation. What we can do? Definitely, is there any other alternate procedure to get the information, evidence?
But if you think of SA 260, where it is written that in case if you do not get approval from the management refuses you to send the external confirmation, you communicate with us. In SA 260, where it is written? Yes, Mega, but in which point? Just because I have written SA 260 doesn't mean that you have to follow it. If, like, you have to logically think why SA 260, where it is written in that. Why we will communicate to those charged with governance. When management is refusing me, why I have to go and say that this particular part to the those charged with governance? Anyone?
Sir, I think it is mentioned in objective of auditor to promote effective two-way communication between auditor and TCWG.
No, there is one specific point for more specific area than this.
Sir, when there is a fraud risk factor, we need to communicate with those charges governance.
Fraud risk factor. No, not fraud risk factor. We are not talking about fraud risk factor as of now when the communication happens. Think logically what you are communicating with them. What you are communicating with them.
Sir, when there is a significant matter, we need to communicate with them.
Absolutely not significant matter, but it's a significant difficulties that you are encountering during the audit. See, remember, significant difficulties that you have encountered during the audit. That is the part where you communicate to those charged with governance. Those charged with governance, we are facing difficulty. We are not getting the detail from the management. We are not getting the approval from the management, and we don't have any other procedure to perform. Now you tell us what we do, and this is part of this. The getting significant difficulties. Okay, so when you face significant difficulties, you reach out to those charged with governance as per SA 260. Clear? So once you encounter significant difficulties, we'll reach out to them, we will communicate with them, and if they can help us, fine. If they not, then it will become a limitation on the scope of the audit, and you can modify your opinion accordingly. If the still auditor is not able to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, modify. Sorry, we don't have any other option available. Clear? Any doubt with this? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubts, let's discuss one more area that I want to discuss. In this particular example, we discussed that Mr. A confirmed back. Let's say we'll remove this. This detail was not given by management for time being. This was obtained by auditor. We'll remove this. Now here the balance which was balance confirmation which was sent was of rupees, let's say hypothetical example 150. Hypothetical example 150. The person Mr. A confirmed back that he has a balance of 100. What you will call this difference? Now there is a difference over here. 150, 100, 50 difference. This difference of 50 What you will call this difference of 50?
This is a exception.
Okay.
See, actually, the exception, the difference between the information the auditor requested and what the confirming party is provided, there is a difference. That is called exception.
Okay. Okay. Can I say this is the misstatement also?
Sir, on the face of it, we cannot say there is a misstatement. We have to evaluate. We have to study, understand the reason behind the exception.
Absolutely. So this is an exception. In that case, yes, this exception has to be understood. And accordingly, we need to say whether this is a misstatement or not. Not all of the exceptions should be misstatement. Okay. It is not necessary that if you have an exception, it's a misstatement. Differences can be there because of n number of reasons. And accordingly, you need to evaluate whether an exception is a misstatement or not. Okay. So not necessary this exception could be a misstatement. So misstatement, no, but exceptions for sure. This is exception. Now, if you have a valid reason for the exception,
Hello, sir.
yes,
Hello, sir.
yes, tell me.
This is Vaibhav. Just a general query I wanted to ask. Can I have the BOS group link for doubt solving, because I'm taking GST classes from the BOS. So if I can have a group link for BOS doubt solving, that will be great.
Yeah, we will provide
We will
you.
tell you.
Okay. Well, it will be provided to you via chat.
Okay.
Yes.
How will it be provided?
It will be there in the group. You will get the link. You will be replied on that. So it will be there. Don't worry on that.
Okay.
You may write it on the chat. We will send it to you.
Yeah, I have written already.
Okay.
Okay.
What's your good name?
Vaibhav Bodas.
Oh.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we were discussing about the exception. Not all the exceptions are misstatement that we were referring, but yes, exception needs an evaluation. Okay, and accordingly, we need to basically see whether an exception can be taken ahead or not as a misstatement. So for that, you need to perform the procedures. For example, that let's say if there is an exception in the trade receivables, you will see whether it's a goods in transit, whether it's a case of dispute, whether it's something discount. What is the reason why there is an exception? And accordingly, if it is a genuine, it may not be a misstatement. Okay. So that's how you need to evaluate the misstatement. Okay. Now there is one doubt which is there we need to take. Suppose we send a data confirmation, then we should share the data balance in the client's book, or whether we should request the third party to share the client balance in their books. So what is now the question is on the drafting of the basically your confirmation. See, when I discuss in the start that you need to take the control of the confirmation process. That means that when you are deciding what balance to be confirmed. Okay. And the second point was how you need to draft the confirmation, how you need to design the confirmation. And why this is there, this is a reason, because at times we may provide them the information, okay, this is the balance, please confirm, or at times we ask them, you confirm, open ended. Now, when to go for open ended and when to go for the exact amount provide them, okay, that totally depends upon the risk of material misstatement which is there in the process. I'll explain you with an example. See, let's say when you are sending the confirmation, you have a still a risk of material misstatement with respect to the trade receivables, and you have a fraud risk factor, high fraud risk factor in trade receivables. Could be because of, let's say for example, the parties are somehow linked with the company, they are very old customers of the company, and they are a very good connect. Let's say for example, these customers are directly connected with the CFO, CEO of the company, they have a very good business with them, Or you may say that, okay, these customers, have a very good contact with the management in the company. So at that point in time, you may have a doubt, okay, should I provide them this information? Because I have high risk of material misstatement, I have a high fraud risk. If I provide them the direct balance, they write yes and give it back to me. That is not the appropriate and sufficient audit evidence that I'm looking for. So, to make it more reliable, what can I do? I can share an open ended confirmation request to them. Please tell me what all balances against the company you have in your books of account, and then I will validate that. The example that I took here, I shared a confirmation with 150 rupees. Now, let's say, for example, if I remove this, when like, let's say, for example, I'm removing this because I have a high fraud risk into the picture. I have a high risk of material misstatement. And then I decided, no, I will not give the amount to Mr. A. Let Mr. A's team confirm back the amount, and then I will validate with my amount. By this way, my confirmation will be more reliable. And that's my objective over here. If you think you need a more reliable audit evidence, you can go for open-ended confirmations. Okay, but let's say when you are sending the confirmation, you know about the person, you know that, okay, they will reply back you genuinely on the amount which are there because of the reputation that is there of that particular company who is a customer, because they could be a government department, because they are the banks, or authorities or entities which operate through policies and procedures, and you have a comfort on that. For example, a bank or some other, some similar kind of institution. In that scenario, you may send a balance also, or even if the balance is not that much material. Okay, so you don't have that heightened risk of material misstatement. So at that point in time, you can send the amount written in the confirmation, and I can ask them, okay, please confirm me back. So sometimes it is a matter of confidentiality also. Sometimes they have the policy that they will only confirm if you provide the amount to them because of the privacy, data confidentiality. So you need to think all these points when you are drafting the confirmation, and accordingly you need to draft and send the confirmation. I hope I have answered your question, Mega. Okay. Now, this was about the drafting of the confirmation, one of the doubt that we received. Okay, and we discussed before that a part of the exception which is there. Now, very, very important area that I want to discuss is when to send which confirmation. See, at the start we discussed two type of confirmations: negative confirmation, positive confirmation. Now you tell me which confirmation you will send at what time and place. When you will select negative confirmation and when you will select positive confirmation. Some of the answer I have already given when I was discussing the doubt, but still I want to understand from your point of view when you will select negative confirmation.
Sir, when risk of material misstatement is high, in that case we will send positive confirmation, and when risk of material misstatement is low, then we will send negative confirmation.
Okay. Anything else apart from the risk of material misstatement that you think would be relevant in this area? Anyone? Very good, Sanjay. When the transactions are small and the balances are small and they are of homogeneous nature. I'll explain you this with an example. Okay. Do you know a particular industry where you have the data, but the balances are small of that data, but the amount in total is very big? Do you know such industry or such company? Anyone? A company where data are there, their amount is small, but the numbers are very big. And because of that, you have a very big total amount of the data. So that company, I would say, let's say for example, a telecom company, telecom industry. In telecom industry, you have data, very small data, but the numbers are in millions. Balance is small. Numbers in millions. Okay. If I talk about postpaid customers, if I talk about, in a lot of cases we have the prepaid also, but in a lot of cases we have the postpaid. So postpaid, corporate connections, a lot of things, they have the number in millions. Balance is small, millions in number. Now here, tell me one thing, will you send in this particular scenario confirmation to each and every person, okay, and ask them to confirm their balance outstanding? Not feasible, basically. Because the population is homogeneous, that means similar kind of scenario and transactions are there is no different kind of sale or transaction is happening. That is a population homogeneous. When I talk about population homogeneous, okay, that means that all the transactions, sale transactions, are of similar nature. When I talk about telecom industry, when I talk about customers having the balances outstanding to be paid, what is the same? That they have used the telecom services. Homogeneous population. Okay. And accordingly, if I send to each and every person, 95% of the entire population of the data, they will throw your confirmation, and you will end up with the high non-responses. Okay. And high non-responses means you need to perform some additional procedures, and then you need to go and do something else. So all of your exercise which is you have done for the confirmation is already waste. Why? Because you have a high non-response. Are you understanding the point? As a result, what we need to do is we need to, in this scenario, instead of sending positive confirmations, still if you want to send a confirmation, go for a negative confirmation. Because here non-response, that means acceptance. Number two, as I said, it's a negative confirmation. So you have a low reliability of the audit evidence. Okay, so still I have a low reliability of the audit evidence from this particular part. So how will I get the another audit evidence? Some people will say alternate procedures, audit procedures, additional audit procedures. For example, subsequent receipt is one of the area that you have already discussed. Subsequent receipt testing. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
But there is a very big problem in this. The problem is numbers in million. How much testing you will perform for the subsequent receipt of how many balances? So when I talk about subsequent testing, numbers are in millions. How many samples you will pick for subsequent testing? And they have a very small balance. So at the end, let's say for example, if you check thousands also, you will not get a comfort on the material number. Then how you will get comfort or more reliable audit evidence in this scenario? Tell me quickly. Subsequent receipt testing or additional audit procedures, fine. But here it will not give you comfort. Reason because even if you do sampling, how many samples you will select out of millions? Tell me. How many samples you will select? Out of millions of small trade receivables, can you select even multiples in thousands. If you will do that, you will end up testing a lot.
Sir, first we need to do the risk assessment.
Hmm.
Without when there is a risk assessment low, see, what is the ultimate aim is to get the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence to give the opinion on the or opinion. See, in this case, the risk assessment is low, which means the sufficient appropriate audit evidence is available. Say, operation is effective, which means the control are effective. In that case, definitely we can go with that. This one, sir, negative confirmation. See, otherwise that we have to extend the audit procedure, the further audit procedure. Definitely, we need to go back and revisit. Also, we need to do the further audit procedure.
Very
No
good.
other.
Yep. See, one of the part, remember we discussed, is doing the smart audit. At that point in time, you not only are required to do subsequent audit, additional audit procedures, but take comfort from the controls. Don't never most of the times we forget about the controls. It is not like we have to remember that, okay, if we have obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence on the effectiveness from the effectiveness of the controls around relevant assertions, yes, we can go for the negative confirmation. We are already getting a good evidence from there. Now take the help of that plus the negative confirmation, proceed. Let's say, for example, if you have a control, that is, the moment the person doesn't pay for 30 days, his connection is automatically disconnected and he is not able to further use the particular account, and those accounts are flagged as a default accounts. Now if you have these kind of controls, you can go and verify which are the default accounts which are not being paid for 30 days. And if you, let's say for example, if you get comfort on that particular control, that means there is whatever default accounts are there, they should be the aged one, and rest will be the ones which are you are providing these services. Plus there are other controls also that no one should be able to bypass these controls, like as and when 30 days are over, account get automatically blocked. No one should be able to bypass this. Even the employee shouldn't be allowed to unlock his account till the time payment is received. So if these type of controls are there, and if you have a good comfort from that, if you have a sufficient and appropriate audit evidence from control testing, then control testing plus this role reliability can give you ultimate sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Okay. So when you have the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence from control, when you have a high chances of non-response, you have a population which is homogeneous, small amount, big numbers. Okay, and when you have a one more last area where you have a the risk of material misstatement very low, at that point in time you can go ahead and use the negative confirmation. Otherwise do not use the negative confirmation, because at the end we need to get the reliable audit evidence. You will not get the reliable audit evidence. Clear? Any doubt with respect to any of the area?
Sir, I have one doubt.
Hmm.
For the external confirmation, whether management approval is required or not, means whether auditor directly can go and ask anyone, any external party.
See, usually it doesn't work like that way. You need an authority letter from management to send to the third party. And remember, when we were discussing SA 260, at that point in time, what we discussed, that we first inform to the management what is the planned scope and timing of the audit. In that particular area, we also discuss, okay, are we going to send external confirmations? If yes, then to whom? All these things are already discussed with those charged with governance and the management, where at the time of SA 260 only, at the time of planning. So it is not something you decide at the end, but you decide at the time of plan scope, and you take approval, take their buy-in and everything at that point itself. So if I show you, this was SA 265 or 260, and at that point in time, we discussed about the plan scope and the timing of audit. So this plan scope will also include your confirmation part. Remember when we also discussed about the example plan, overall plan of the audit, example one.
Sir, but at the start, how we will know for whom we need to do external confirmation? Means while doing audit only, we understand this seems suspicious or not matching. Then for this, I need confirmation.
Yep. You know the answer for this, and I'll tell you. When you do planning for the audit, what you do? Like let's say acceptance and continuance is done, perfectly fine. What is the next step?
Next, we will do test of control.
No. After acceptance and continuance, first you do something else. What we discussed when we were discussing chapter number 3, what we discussed at that point in time. Yes, Megha, very good.
Sir, what is the question, sir? Sorry.
Question is, once you are done with the acceptance and continuance, engagement letter is signed, what is the next process or next step that you will do in the audit planning?
Sir, evaluation of integrity, objectivity of the management.
That you do at the time of acceptance and continuance. Otherwise, you will never accept. So
Okay.
we do the evaluation at the time of acceptance and continuance. Think what you do once the engagement letter is signed. So let's say, think example, you are the auditor. Management gave you the signed engagement letter. Start audit from tomorrow. What you will do? Directly tomorrow, you will go to their office and start testing controls?
No, sir, we need to understand the business, what is, we need to talk with management.
Absolutely. So you will understand the entity and its environment. Okay, you will apply SA 315. And when I talk about understanding the entity, at that point in time, you will obtain all these things: last financial statements, trial balance, list of debtors, creditors. At that time itself, you will understand the entity. Okay, you will understand that how the entity is structured, what are the debtors, what are the receivables, how much amount is what. And then based on that, you will take your decision whether you will include or not. Are you getting the point?
Yes, sir, getting, but still one doubt. Suppose at the planning stage only we said we will do confirmation for these all the party, then they know that auditor is going to confirmation with this party, so they can communicate with that third party and do some management and all. Means something
Sorry.
Adjustment.
Can you repeat the question again? So just
sir, if at the planning stage only we said that management or TCW that we will do external confirmation for the following these all the party. Then
no.
suppose
So I'll tell you. Okay, I'll tell you how it happens. So at the time of planning, we say that management, okay, fine, you have a lot of data. We will select the party later on, not now, but we will send the confirmation. So keep the authority letter ready that authorizes us to send the confirmation to your data directly. Okay. At that point in time, we discuss with the management for the authority letter. That's why I said I have a single authority letter which I share with all the confirmations. So when I say that I need to take control of the confirmation process, what is the steps were? Deciding the information to be confirmed. That is already decided at the time of planning. At the time of planning, I already decided what is the amount or the balance I need to get confirmed. Selecting the appropriate confirming party, that is done At the time, when you do the audit program, you prepare, you try, you audit, and you do the procedures, design the procedures. At that point in time, you decide which are the parties. But by this time, you already have a authority letter. Now you need to select the parties, design the confirmation request, attach the authority letter, roll it out. So here management will not get involved. So your involvement of the management and everything ends over here. Management approval kind of thing ends over here. Done. Just it. From here onwards, these things is something once you proceed after. Let's say, for example, when you decided which amount to be confirmed, at that point in time only, planning only, management told you, we will not give you confirmation or we will not give you authority letter. Why you will follow these processes, selecting appropriate party, designing confirmation? You will not invest your time. Are you getting the point here, how it works?
Yes, sir, getting. Now it is very clear.
Okay. Any other doubt? Any other doubt till now? Anyone? No? Great. If no doubts, let's quickly go through the essay 505 text, and then we'll go to the study material. Where we have a very good flowchart over there. Okay. 505. So that is the bare text of the standard. Okay. Now, again, when I said why we are sending the confirmation, because I want reliable audit evidence. External confirmations are more reliable. That's why, because of the reliability, I'm sending the external confirmation. Okay. What is my objective over here? Objective is to get the audit evidence which is more reliable. Always remember this. I have to think on the reliability point of view and the relevant point of view. Okay. Now, first thing, like when I'm doing when I'm thinking of the confirmation process, control on the confirmation process. That is, determine the information to be confirmed. Just now we discussed. Select the party, design the confirmation request, and send the request, including the follow-ups if required. Okay. So this is how you need to have the control. And here, management approval comes into the picture. Okay. If management refuses to allow at the first stage itself, need to inquire about the reason. The reason can be unreasonable or reasonable. Based on that, you need to assess the implication of management refusal on the relevant risk, including risk of fraud. Because if management is denying, then there could be a chance of fraud. And then perform the alternate audit procedures if you are able to. And even after performing alternate procedures, or if you are not able to get the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, then you think of modifying the opinion. But before modification, you always need to communicate with those charged with governance as per SA 260. One, you are going to modify. If there is a modification or there is a change in the form and content of the audit report, you will communicate. Second, if there is significant difficulties, you will communicate. Okay. Reliability of the external confirmation. If you have a doubts, then you may perform additional procedures as we discussed to resolve those doubts. Okay. And there could be a chances of fraud, so you need to assess accordingly. We also discussed that if there is a non-response, perform additional procedures to obtain relevant audit evidence. Okay. Then you need to determine like whether you can accept, okay, the positive confirmation or the response or not, or you should accept directly or should provide additional procedures. So if you get a positive if you're sending positive confirmation, you are getting the response, at that point in time, you may think of performing alternate audit procedures. Okay. Alternate audit procedures, why? To confirm that. But at times there could be a scenario when there is no alternate procedures is there, and the only alternate option is confirmations. So positive confirmations can be used to get more reliable evidence. Exceptions, as we discussed, you need to investigate the exceptions to determine whether they are the misstatement or not. And when to send negative confirmation. Negative confirmation is sent only when the risk of material misstatement is low, the population of the item large number, but the balance is small, and homogeneous account balances are there. You have a very low exception rate, okay, or you are not aware of any circumstances that people will disregard the negative confirmation. Means, let's say for example, you have a scenario where you think of, okay, no, if I'll send the confirmation, most probably 99% of the people will respond, will take that confirmation and will read. They will not throw in the dustbin directly. So if you are that much sure, then you can go for negative confirmation. If the exception low is very less, okay, but all these things are conditioned with and. Remember this, it is not or. So if you say no, 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 the population is small, balance is large, but the risk of material misstatement is high, should I proceed with negative? Answer is no. All the things are there. Unless all of the following are present: your risk of material misstatement low, population high plus balance low, exception rate low, then you have the scenario where you think of people will not disregard your request, means they will not destroy or throw your confirmation request directly to the dustbin, then only you can proceed. Okay, circumstances where the condition would cause the negative, where the condition would cause the recipient of the negative confirmation to disregard, means that, just an example I'm giving you, throwing in the dustbin. Let's say for example, tomorrow if you get a marketing request from company multiple times, they send you marketing letters, and one day the auditor of that company is sending you confirmation, 99% chances you will also throw that in dustbin. So there is no such condition which can lead you to believe, or you are not aware of such condition where you will think that, okay, the person who is getting such request will disregard, will throw in the dustbin. If these are the conditions present, then only you proceed with the negative confirmation. Okay, and then at the last, evaluate whatever evidence you have received. Is it relevant and reliable? If yes, then proceed with the opinion. Otherwise, you need to perform additional procedures. This is what the external confirmation process is there, and this is how you need to obtain reliable and relevant audit evidence using external confirmation. Clear? Any doubt? So you have this particular chart in your study material, page 5.7, very, very important, a summarized version of whatever we have discussed. Okay, so please go through it. It is really, really important for you, and summarized in a very good form. Okay, any doubts till now? Any doubts?
No, sir, very clear. You have explained all the details in a detailed way, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if no doubts, then what I suggest is let's take a quick 10-minute break. After the break, we'll gather back and continue the session.
Hello,
Yes.
sir. I haven't received the group link yet.
Vaibhav, it is already shared to everyone in the group by the tech team. If you can see, there is already a message.
So, sir, it is already received in the chat box.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Let's take a quick 10-minute break. After the break, we'll gather back and continue the session. Hello everyone, welcome back. Let's continue the session. So now we will discuss the very important next topic. SA 510. Can anyone tell me what is SA 510?
So
What is
initial
about?
initial audit engagement and opening balance.
Okay. And when this is applicable?
At the start of the audit.
Okay. At the start of the audit. Very good. Yes. Okay. Now tell me one thing. When we talk about initial engagement opening balances, what that means? Like what are the opening balances? What is initial engagement opening balances? Like why we have the term initial engagement over here? Why we have this one?
We need to check whatever the last financial year was closing balance, whether that closing balance for current financial year is opening balance or not. So for that we need to check. We will check by trial balance.
Okay. So we'll check the opening balance by trial balance. Okay. Very good, Mega. Very good, Manish. Yes, absolutely correct. Anyone else would like to add something to this? Why we have the term initial, audit engagements and opening balance together?
Sir,
Why? What is the reason?
sir, because both are interrelated, sir. See, without the opening balance, we cannot continue the audit. The company entity cannot continue the business. Also, without the opening balance verification, the auditor cannot continue his audit work also.
Okay, understood. Fine. So it is related. Okay. But what is the objective over here to check the opening balance? Why we want to check the opening balance? Why can't we directly go to the closing balance? Let's say, for example, trade receivables. What you will get by verifying the opening balance if you have the confirmation for the closing balance? Why to go for opening balance? Yes, very good, Manish. But my question still remains the same, that why to go for opening balance when you get the audit evidence on the closing? But Sanjay, if you say that opening balance matches with the closing balance, why to check that? Like, what is the purpose of checking that? As an auditor, we cannot directly rely on the previous auditor's report without obtaining sufficient and appropriate audit evidence regarding its reliability. If you are saying this, then somewhere we saw on the SA 600 that we can rely upon the work performed by another auditor. But you're saying that you cannot rely upon the work performed by previous auditor. That is contradictory. We can rely upon. So if you have an audit report of the previous auditor, you can rely upon. The way we can rely upon the work performed by another auditor. Then why opening balance? Part of current period, but you can take directly closing number. You can get the comfort on the closing number. Then why should I go for opening? Why should I duplicate the work or do additional work? Let's say trade receivables. You got the confirmation, matter over. Your balance sheet is fine. Very good, Mega. Yes, absolutely correct. So I'll tell you, because it may affect the current year's financial statement as we have not audited previous year. Very good, Hetal. Very good, Hetal. Opening balance contains disclosures also. Okay, now I'll tell you. See, when I talk about initial audit engagement, This is a scenario where we are talking about you are doing audit for the first time. Okay, audit for the first time. Now, when the audit will be for the first time? Number one, when actually the client is being audited for the first time. Okay, so it is a new entity or client being audited for the first time. Client being audited for first time, or you are appointed as an auditor for the first time for this company, and the previous year audit was done by another auditor. Okay, that is the where when I will say this is the audit for the first time for auditor, for current year auditor. That is the initial audit engagement that you are getting for the first time. Either it was not audited earlier or it were audited by a predecessor auditor. Okay. Now for these initial audit engagement, opening balance becomes very critical. Now when I say opening balance, what is opening balance? It is not just the trial balance opening numbers. No. It is not just the numbers of the accounts. No. Opening balance are the balances which are there in the trial balance, perfectly fine, but which are also reported in disclosures, contingent liability, commitments, something which is beyond your accounts, disclosure related numbers. So this includes account balance plus disclosure. Okay, so that's why it becomes very important for me to go through the opening balance, to understand the opening balance and to get the comfort on the opening balance. What if your last year disclosure was incorrect? In that case, you need to understand. For example, let's say last year the revenue or the accounting was done on cash basis. Now it is done on the accrual basis. So it is more than the account balance. This is how the last year financials were prepared and the current year financials are prepared. So account balance, disclosure plus policies are some of the areas which are included in your opening balance. Are you getting the point? So opening balance is not only restricted to numbers of your account. No, that is incorrect interpretation. Now, why to check opening balance? Okay, we understood what is the opening balance. We understood what is the initial audit engagement. But why is the very important question. Your objective here is to understand whether opening balance contains misstatement that materially affect your current period financial statement. If there is a misstatement in the opening balance and that is impacting your current year financial statement, number one, when it can happen, let's say for example, last year someone forgot to record a sale. Trade receivable was incorrect. This year they recorded the sale, rectified it, but now you have a closing number correctly and perfect, fine. Yes, I got the confirmation. Closing number is fine. But because of that correction, you have a sale which is of previous period recorded in the current period. So there is a cut-off issue in your sales now. Your sales are overvalued in the current year. So there was an error, there was a misstatement in the opening balance, because of which your current period financial statements are materially affected. That's why the only confirmation over the closing balance, yes, it will give you confirmation on the balance sheet, but we are talking about the transactions during the period which will impact your PNL, which will impact your cash flow statements. And when I talk about current period financial statements, that not only includes your balance sheet, balance sheet, P&L, statement of cash flow, statement of changes in equity, your notes to account, schedules, additional disclosures, everything. So I need to understand what are the misstatement in the opening balance that are impacting my current period financial statements. Number two, appropriate accounting policies which were there in the last year are applied right now or also. For example, till last year, okay, revenue was recorded based on some uh, completion method, percentage of completion method. But from this year, they changed from the percentage of completion method to the 5-step risk and reward approach, to the 5-step approach. And because of that, you have a one very big hit in your P&L because they had to record additional revenue. Or till last year, it was 5-step approach, now percentage of completion, all these things, like let's say assume an example, assume a scenario where you have a very big impact in the revenue because of this. So at that point in time, I need to understand whether the accounting policies applied appropriately previously are being applied currently now also. What if till last year they were following accounting standard, now suddenly out of nowhere they have started following partial Ind AS for some of the scenarios? That is a problem. So opening balance not only talks about the numbers, but it talks about the disclosures, it talks about the policies, it talks about the applicable financial reporting framework that you need to follow. And you need to verify that as a part of your audit. Then only you can get a comfort on the closing. Okay. So the objective of the auditor is on two areas. One, whether your opening balances contain misstatement that materially affect the current period's financial statement. Now, very important, I have to look from the point of view of the opening balance where they are materially affecting the current period financial statement. And when I talk about these financial statement, I'm talking about balance sheet, P&L, cash flow. If India's then statement of changes in equity, plus you have schedules, disclosures, or whatnot. Okay. Second, appropriate accounting policies, which are reflected in the opening balances, have been consistently applied in the current financial statements. If not, then whether the changes have been accounted for. For example, if you are migrating from AS to Ind AS, then have you followed the first time adoption and appropriately have you made those changes in your financial statement or in your accounts? Okay, as per the applicable financial reporting framework. So this is the objective of the auditor. And when I talk about initial audit engagement, the financial statements are of prior period were not audited for the first time, or the financial statements of the prior period were audited by the predecessor auditor. Okay. So I think now you are clear with the objective of the auditor when it comes to the opening balance in case of the initial audit engagement. Now tell me, how will you get the comfort on the opening balance? Let's talk about the audit procedures. What you will do to get the comfort on the opening balance?
We will check last year audited financial statement.
Okay. Last year audited financial statement. Fine. Yes. So I will check whether the numbers have been correctly brought forward or not. Okay. So brought forward of the numbers. What else? What else you will do? Come on quickly. What else you will do? Just only checking the brought forward of the numbers. Okay, Mega. Yes, I will check the previous year closing and the current year numbers. Okay. Apart from numbers, what you will do? Brought forward of the numbers is one of the thing that we will do. There is much more thing that we need to do in this scenario. Disclosures, yes, Manish. Okay, I will check the disclosures from where? I will check the display. Okay, through the audit report. Yes, Hetal, very good. So I will go through the audit report. So I'll go through the audit report and we'll check the disclosures and I will see the numbers which are reported have been brought forward correctly or not. Fine. What else I will check? So by going through the audit report, I'll check the numbers and disclosures. Anything else you will check? Apart
Sir, we need to check the audit report also the last year. Is there any disqualification is given? Whether that is rectified during this current year by the management, that also we need to look into it, sir.
Okay. So any misstatement or qualification in the last year which is rectified in the current year. So I will go through the audit report of the last year. I will check for the qualifications and then I will see whether those have been rectified in the current year or not. So qualifications of the last year. Very good. What else?
Whether there is a inconsistency in the policy applied from the previous year to this year, if there is a inconsistency, then the policy changes, then whether it is appropriately dealt with the accounting framework which is given and whether properly disclosed as per the accounting framework or not.
Consistency of the accounting policy. So I'll take the audit report. I will check the numbers, disclosures, accounting policies, material misstatement that were reported or qualifications which were there last year. Anything else you would do?
Also, we have to verify all the opening closing balance is correctly brought down to the current years.
Yes, so I will check the brought forward of the numbers from the audit report or let's say trial balance. I will also check the accounting policies. I will also check the disclosure. I will also check the qualifications. Anything else? Now let's take a scenario. First time audit. Till last year there was no audit for this particular entity. Not a company, let's say partnership firm, but they were not having that much amount of turnover. Now the turnover is big. You have a tax audit. You need to audit the financial statement. Audit being for the first time. Balances were there, business was there, but there was no requirement for audit. Now they are coming under the purview of audit. Changes in the signatory, but what difference it will make with the changes in the signatory? How will I get the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence if I'll get the details on the changes in signatory?
Sir, we will see always the partnership deed is there. When there is a partnership firm, definitely the deed we will look into it.
But how will you get the comfort on the opening balance through a partnership deed?
Partnership deed, I think that will not help that much level.
It will not.
Only the partnership deed will tell what is the capital contribution, who are the partners, who is the signing authority, that overall what is the operation, who is the manager. Only those information only can be seen on there.
So I'm asking, let's say audit being done for the first time where the entity was there, but there was no requirement of the audit. Partnership firm. Now you are doing the tax audit. How will you get the comfort? There is no balance. There is no audit report available. So from where you will check the numbers, opening balance? From where you will check the disclosures, accounting policies, qualifications?
Sir, in that case, definitely we need to extend the scope of the audit. We have to do the audit from the last year as well, because we have to rely upon the opening balance is very important. So we have to discuss with the management to extend the audit scope
Let's say you
from.
will, let's say entity you will include in the audit scope the last year. But last year also, to audit the balances of the last year, you need the comfort on the opening balance of the last year. That will become more. So how much, past you will go? FS filed with ROC, those are not certified. Can you rely upon those FS which are filed with ROC? But let's talk about the partnership firm, which has no requirement to file the FS with ROC. Previous year ITR filed with income tax. Is it certified? Can you rely on that? If not, then how you will check the opening balance? First time audit, company partnership firm was there, operations were there, but they were not required to get audited because of the turnover limit less than 10 crores, for example. Now they have exceeded to 50 crores. Suddenly they have got a lot of business from last year's 8-9 crores to directly 50 crores.
Sir, we will first check the internal control, how the internal control is there. First things, if the internal control is properly placed on the operating effective, accordingly we can take a call whether
But
it is.
internal, let's say operating effectiveness of the control. That operating effectiveness of the control, you will check for the current year. Now, whether that control was existing in the previous year or not, whether that was operating effectively in the previous year or not, how will you determine that? Okay, I'll tell you.
It's very interesting that you are countering all the.
It is pretty easy also. I'll tell you. Logical and the easy. See, what is my objective as an auditor?
Is to get the reasonable
To issue an opinion on the current year financial statement. Correct? Reasonable assurance.
reasonable assurance that the statement are free from error, fraud, all these things.
Correct. Now, in order to issue a reasonable assurance on the current year financial statement, remember the objective which is in front of you with respect to the opening balance comes as whether any opening balance materially affect the current period financial statement. Means still my scope is the current period financial statement. My scope doesn't go beyond, like before that. I'm still only concerned with the current period financial statements. Okay, now I'll give you simple explanation. When you are sending a data's confirmation, what if you ask the person to confirm the opening balance also, or balances too, 31st March 2023 and 31st March 2024, or vice versa, like 24-25. Second, when you are taking a balance confirmation from bank, what if you take the balance confirmation opening and the closing from bank? Okay, let's forget that also. Let's not take the opening confirmation, but simple mathematical thing. Let's say, for example, you have an opening balance 100, not verified. I don't know this 100. I have no comfort on this 100. Fine, remove this. I have no comfort, that's why I write in red. Fine. Current year transactions. Let's say I'm talking about trade receivable as of now. Okay, so there was sales. Let's say sales of 50. You got an amount. Okay, you got an amount, that is the payment that was done by the debtors, amount received let's say was 70. So the net closing balance will come to you was 80. Now what I can do is, can I do this thing? I can get the balance confirmation of this. Fine. Yes, I can get the balance confirmation. Good. Now the second thing is balance sheet part done. I got the balance confirmation. Second part is the transactions during the period. These are the transactions during the period. I can perform audit procedures on this to get the comfort on sales and receivables. Now the only concern will be that I need to get more audit evidence and hire sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, because I don't know about this. I'm not aware about this 100. So it may happen that the sale or receivable could be materially misstatement at to a very big level. So the the risk for me of the material misstatement in the sale and receivable will be very high, because I need to be double sure that during the year whatever transactions which are posted are of the current period only. So one of the assertions that will be critical for me will be cutoff. Cutoff assertion will be at the height of the risk for me. Second, very relevant assertion that will be critical for me will be existence and obligations, existence and occurrence basically. Okay, or for the balance sheet it will be rights and obligations. Why? Because I want to make sure that transaction has occurred in the current period itself. And the third part will be completeness, that nothing is being missed from the current period. So if I get these on very high risk, and if I perform testing accordingly on this 50 and 70, you have a comfort on 50, you have a comfort on 70, you have a comfort on 80. Now if it is 100, 110, 120, does it make a difference? Now tell me, my objective was to understand whether opening balance contains misstatement that are materially affecting your current period. So I'm pretty much sure that there is no misstatement coming from previous year which is affecting my current year financial statement, because I have tested this, I have tested this, I have tested this. So there is no misstatement present in that. Don't you think by this way, by default, I have comfort on the opening balance?
Sir, your question is still valid, sir. But how we can rely on the opening balances?
So, some of your audit procedures, you need to understand that some of your audit procedures already provide you comfort on your opening balance. You don't need to design separate audit procedures to get the comfort on the audit balance. For example, as I told you, confirmations. You can easily get confirmation of the opening balance and the closing balance. Or let's say, for example, in confirmation, you are asking the debtor to send his statement, account statement. You are asking bank to send the entire account statement. So your current period audit procedures can be drafted or can be modified in such a way that it can provide you comfort on the opening balance also. Or the way you can do is, first my objective is to understand, is there any material misstatement coming from the previous period which is being carried over here. Now see, again, this 50 and 70, if I get comfort on 80, now the question comes is on this 100. Let's say, for example, it could be, if it was 0, then it will entirely be a different story. Closing balance would be entirely a different story. Okay. So in that case, what I can do, I can, during my confirmations, I can send a confirmation and ask them, okay, please confirm the opening balance. So my current year audit procedures, that balance confirmation which is there, I am sending him for this also. Like confirm, like instead of one balance confirmation, I'm doing two balance confirmation. So your current year audit procedures are designed in such a way that you can get the comfort on the opening balance. This is trade receivable. Second example, vendors, same, you can get the confirmation. Bank balance, investment, you can get the confirmations. Okay, let's talk about fixed asset. Now, fixed asset, what will be the scenario is you don't know whether the fixed asset were occurring on that particular period or not. Very best example, I'll tell you. Let's say FA balance, 100 opening. Do a physical count near to your, let's say, start of the year whenever you get the audit for the first time. Okay, so let's say this opening is on first four, like 24. Do a physical count on, let's say, 1/6/24. Now from here, whatever balance it is, you can perform the rollback procedures, remove the additions, add the deletions. You can get the opening balance the way we do the opening, for the inventory. If the inventory count is done on some other date, same way we can be doing it.
Roll back, roll forward procedure. Sir, fixed asset, there is no issue. But anyway, we can get the bill. Where is the purchase bill? We can able to see from which date is purchased, what is the depreciation, what is the revaluation. Those things we can easily find out.
Fixed asset done, investment I told you, bank I told you, trade receivables, trade payables, yes, loans and advances, again you can get the confirmations. Balances with the government authorities, again you can easily get the data, like what was the TDS amount, what was the GST credit, GST payable, receivable, everything that can be easily managed. Okay, now coming to the liability side, loans, yes, you can get confirmations again. Current liabilities, if it is trade payables, yes, you can still go for vendor confirmations. You can get the vendor confirmation balance. If rest of the item, let's say provisions, now you need to understand that whether that particular provision, now when I'm talking about provision, it becomes kind of an area where the policies, accounting policies are also involved. So you need to draft the audit procedures accordingly. Okay, so what was the provision done, for what it was done, and what was the reason of the provision, what was the calculations, you can get that detail again. Okay, for the provisions. Now if I talk about transactions, you need to make sure whatever transactions are recorded during the current period, they do not involve any material misstatement from previous period. So you need to look after for the prior period items. So cutoff will be on the high on risk. The risk of material misstatement for the cutoff assertion will be very high for me. Then you will check the accounting policies. See, again, when I'm talking about accounting policies, I need to make sure that whatever accounting policy is being followed till last year, or whatever applicable financial reporting framework it is, they are still following the same. You can easily figure out the financial reporting framework. Let's say one of the good example was the IT return which was filed. Over there, you disclose what is the accounting policy. So when you file a return, you provide that detail in ITR, whether it was accrual, cash basis. Okay, so you already have something which is disclosed. For example, applicable financial reporting framework for a partnership entity. Okay, basically it is accrual. Accounting standards are applicable to them. Remember, financial statement for non-corporate entities, there is a guidance note on that, which is applicable to non-corporate entities. So you need to check the compliance with that. You need to see whether the applicable financial reporting framework, that is the accounting standard applicable to non-corporate entities, being followed or not. All these things, the current year audit procedure can give you comfort on the opening balance itself. Even though if you don't have any audit report, even though if you don't have any, number from where you can go do and see that, okay, this is brought forward, that from the last period, still you can perform the audit procedures and get the comfort.
Thank you,
Getting
sir.
the point?
Yeah, very nicely explained, sir. Thank you. Extending the audit procedure by of doing that cutoff procedure, all these things, it will solve this problem.
Yes. So when you are doing the audit, it is not only the additional procedure. So the purpose of standard is not to say that, okay, perform additional audit procedures. No. Sometimes you may get evidence from the current year audit procedures also. Understand logically, the objective here is to ensure that there is no material statement coming from the previous year. One, that. Second, accounting policies and the disclosures. If you can get the comfort, you are meeting the objective. Our intention is not to audit previous year financial statement. No. Our objective is to understand the material misstatement which are coming in the current year because of the previous year. So as we discussed, what we will do is simple. Determine first whether they have been correctly brought forward or not. Okay. If you have the audit report. So prior period closing balances have been brought forward or not. So first you can look for the audit report if you have. Like you can check from the audited financial statement. Okay. Now, if not, then we discuss what we can do is number two, you can look for the prior period items in the current year statement of profit and loss. So if there is any prior period item reported, you need to check whether the opening balance reflect the application of appropriate accounting policies. Now here, remember, there is a guidance note on the financial statement for non-corporate entities. Accounting standards for non-corporate entities are also there. So accordingly, what is the appropriate financial reporting framework? If it is a non-corporate entity, if it is a company, fine, we know Schedule 3 is there to govern them. If a new company, still Schedule 3 will be applicable. So what is the appropriate accounting policy and applicable financial reporting framework? Determine that by the nature of the entity. And get the prior period financial statement audited if they are audited. Okay. Perform audit procedures in the current period that may provide you, evidence on the opening balances. So sometimes your current period procedures will be enough to give you comfort on the opening balances, some of the opening balances. Over there, do not perform some additional procedures. Yes, if your some of the audit procedures or areas where you are not able to get comfort on the opening balances from the current year audit procedures, then go and perform the specific audit procedures regarding the evidence on the opening balance. As I told you, provisions. Now, if you will test current year provision, that might not provide you the comfort on the opening balance of the provision. So for that, you need to perform a specific procedure, get the details of the opening provision, how it was calculated last year, what was the basis, method, data, assumptions, and everything. Test that and then decide whether it was appropriate or not. Okay. That is, we get the data, we get the audit evidence. Now, after getting this audit evidence, there could be two scenarios. One, misstatement not there. Good, you achieve the objective. Misstatement is not there. But what if the misstatement is there? The second scenario. What you will do? What you will do if the misstatement is there?
Then definitely he will need to check that material effects, sir, whether it is a pervasive nature. Definitely it will qualify the opinion, or even you can give the disclaimer of opinion also based on that materiality effect.
Okay. Communicate to management and those chartered governance. Very good. See, it's not directly qualification. So whenever it comes that you identify a misstatement, meet management, discuss with those chartered governance, and then ask them to rectify. If they rectify, fine. If not, then evaluate as per SA 450 whether it is a material misstatement or not. If material, then we will go for the qualification when it is not being rectified by the management. Are you getting the point? So don't directly jump onto the qualification. Understand step-by-step process. The first step is to meet management and discuss with those charged with governance. Evaluate whether it's material or not. Material, you communicated to them, they are not ready to rectify, it is material, then go for the qualification. Then we will decide whether to issue a qualified opinion or whether to issue a adverse opinion. Okay. Similar for the accounting policies. Check the accounting policies whether they have been appropriately applied or not. It's very relevant. Okay. And there are specific scenarios where you will go through the audit report of predecessor auditor's report. Over there, you will understand material misstatements which were there previously, which can impact current period financial statement also. So there are scenarios where these kind of misstatements are carry forwarded. Okay. So a lot of, like a lot of examples are there available online also. I would show you one where the previous year audit misstatement was carry forwarded in the current year, and there was a misstatement in the current year also because of that. Okay, let me open this for you. Just a minute. Again, I would request not to pay, focus on the name of the company. I'm just showing you for the purpose of your information. Just give me a minute. Let me open it. Sorry, it's taking a bit of time. I'm really sorry for that.
Sir, is it a published financial report?
Sorry?
Is it published financial report?
Yes, published financial report of previous year of a particular listed entity. It's what you can say, publicly available data. So
then there is no breach of confidentiality, right? It is publicly available.
Yeah, publicly available data. Sorry. Yeah, okay. So just don't focus on the name of the company because, it is publicly available data. If just let me know. Okay, so this is the particular entity. Okay, I'll take you to the part where I'm quoting this. See, one of the area that I want to show you that, okay, from previous year how it impacts the current year audit period. So one of the thing is like previous year excess of current liabilities over current assets plus losses, repayments of loan. One of such area is where they are raising the material uncertainty relating to the going concern. So previous year numbers are impacting current years also. However, in this scenario, they are not saying it's a qualification because it is not impacting your current year financial statement materially, but there are scenarios where they can be, there can be, you can say, impact on the current year financial statements because of the previous year. Okay, so previous period losses or something which was not adjusted previously, but now you cannot adjust it because the period is gone. And if you'll adjust in the current year, it will still, let's say, be a material misstatement, or a scenario where it was adjusted previously, but now you cannot reverse it back. So accordingly, these are certain scenarios where you have no option rather than to qualify. Similarly, in this kind of, if I show you just a minute, there will be one more area where the previous year numbers are being, are impacting your current period financial statements. So again, this is the basis of qualified opinion. Now, see, if I show you over here that different depreciation method adopted by subsidiaries. Now, this is a consolidated financial statement, but here the different depreciation method which is adopted by the entities, difference in accounting policies. Like now it's an estimate, but in AS 8 accounting policy changes, earlier it was there. Okay, accounting estimates. So this accounting estimate depreciation, okay, is not calculated appropriately. Hence, it is creating issue year after year. One of such example is this one. So see, uh, the financial statement for the year end would have increased this lex, okay, losses after tax, respectively other equity and the plant property and equipment would have been reduced by this and this respectively. So some things which are going from year on year, management is not rectifying. It is impacting your current year numbers. Like in this scenario, depreciation. Last year depreciation was charged something else. Now on the basis of WDV, again some other depreciation is being charged, and your plant property and equipment is being reported incorrectly year on year. So your previous year misstatements are also impacting current year. So one such example was this one. Okay. You need to understand in that scenario how it is impacting your previous year misstatements. Clear with this?
Yes, sir. If the previous year mistake problem, if it is corrected, then there is no qualified opinion.
But sometimes you will feel that you will find a scenario where the correction is also not possible. See, what will happen if correction may lead into a kind of a scenario where you are taking a hit of for the prior period item. But your prior period item in your, let's say, profit and loss account would impact drastically your current year profit. So there could be a scenario where you either you take a hit and again you there will be a misstatement in the current year financial statements, or you keep continuing that particular part. Rare case scenario, but that can be possible. So in that case, obtain the evidence on the opening balances and understand what is a misstatement. If you conclude there is a misstatement, communicate and then evaluate as per SA 450. Then you check consistent accounting policy, whether it has been applied or not. And you can get the relevant information, that information from the predecessor auditor's report, like modifications which were there. For example, now you are auditing this entity. So you know last year there was the issue in the depreciation. You already are aware about that issue. That could impact your current year financial statement. And if you are not able to get sufficient and appropriate audit evidence after all these things, modify. Issue a qualified opinion. Clear? Any doubt till now?
No, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. We go to the study material. In the study material, you have this wonderful chart on the 510. Okay. Must go through this one. This is really important. And whatever we have discussed is summarized in a very beautiful way. Any doubt till now? Okay. If no doubts, can we take some questions, MCQs? Let's solve some MCQs over here on these topics. And then we will, we will have a good clarity on the topic itself. Okay. So let's solve some MCQs first. Okay. So we have a question that is, Messrs. ABC and Company Chartered Accountants were appointed as a statutory auditor of Stark Limited for the financial year 23-24. Stark Limited is engaged in the business of manufacturing heavy machinery. The company's inventory is stored at its main factory premises and warehouse managed by third party, that is Safe Store Logistics. Due to unforeseen logistic issues, the audit team could not attend the physical inventory counting process at the main factory on the date of financial statement. Furthermore, the inventory held at the Safe Store Logistics is considered material to the financial statement. The management has provided a confirmation from the safe store logistics regarding the quantities and the condition of the inventory held. In this context, which of the actions by the auditor would be most appropriate according to SA 501? Now, we'll go to the options in some time, but first tell me what you will do in this scenario. What audit procedures you will perform, or you will take the confirmation and it's fine for you? What audit procedures you will perform over here?
Sir, actually, when here the auditor unable to attend that unforeseeable logistic issue, definitely they will appoint another auditors. They can go and verify it. Otherwise, they have to choose the alternative date to go and verify it. The rollback procedure, roll forward, whatever the case is applicable, they have to, at any cost, that it has to be done.
Okay. And safe store?
Step store also, that based on that, in this case, quantities condition management, based on the management provided confirmation, we cannot rely upon that. The auditor has to, since it is a materiality, there also the auditor has to be go and verify it. If he unable to verify it, they can appoint other person, go and check and verify and give the report for that.
Very good. Absolutely correct. Now let's see the options over here and then select the appropriate options. So these are the options. You tell me which is the correct option. Which is the correct option from these one? Come on, guys, quickly. Which is the correct option?
So we are reading it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us 30 or 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Okay. Let's take one more minute. Yeah. Very good, Manish. Very good, Ankit. Very good, Sanjay. Okay. Yeah. So most of you have answered correctly. C. Okay. C is the correct answer. Why not B? Why not B? Why we are relying on C? Why we are saying C?
Sir, on the B, and the first part is okay. The second part is not appropriate.
Absolutely correct. Yes. So let's go through the options one by one and I'll tell you why not. For those who still need an understanding, just go through one by one all the options. So option number one, auditor can solely rely on the confirmation for the inventory held at a third party and perform alternate procedures for the inventory at the factory, thereby obtaining sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Solely rely on the confirmation, that is a problem. That's why this option is not correct. Okay. Then second is, again, must attend the physical count at the factory on alternate date and perform test count. For the inventory with the third party, confirmation from them is sufficient evidence. No, confirmation is not sufficient here. Reason because this confirmation is provided by management. So management has provided this confirmation. So this is an issue. Okay. This is an issue for us. Sorry. Just a minute. Yeah. So we cannot rely upon the management provided confirmation. Third, auditor is required to perform alternate audit procedure for the inventory at the main factory. Fine. Inventory held by the third party auditor should request confirmation. Now this is the part. Auditor should request confirmation, and if concerns about the third party integrity and objectivity arises because the confirmation is provided by the management, then perform additional procedures like attending the physical count or arrange for another auditor to do so. So it takes care of the integrity and the objectivity of the confirmation. And if auditor should issue a qualified opinion, no. Here you should perform the procedures. Now, inability to attend is not is equal to impracticability. Remember that we discussed. So that's why your option number C is D is also incorrect. B is also incorrect. The correct option is C. Clear? Okay. That was one question. Let's discuss another question on the similar lines. Very good question. So first we'll discuss question and then we'll go for the options. CA Priyanka is the statutory auditor of Finwell Limited for the FY 23-24. While auditing the trade receivables, she decided to send positive external confirmation request to a sample of debtors. One of the major debtor, Mrs. Reliable Limited, did not respond to the confirmation request. CA Priyanka sent a second request but again received no reply. The management of the Finwell explained that Mrs. Reliable Limited has a policy of not responding to any confirmation request from third parties due to their internal data privacy rules. The management offered to provide a written representation stating that the balance is correct and also showed the copies of invoices, delivery challans related to sales made to Reliable Limited. What would be the most appropriate course of action? We'll not go to the options first. You tell me what would be the most appropriate course of action for CA Priyanka.
Sir, when we are not getting any response from that particular customer, then we will do the further audit procedure. We will go through the similar month transaction, the sales record and the receipt. And the receipt we will verify it. In the same way, the management also showed to the recent transaction and receipt and everything. That is also shown to us. But however, what is the option is given. Based on that only we can come to conclusion.
Okay. Okay. Let's see the option also now. So the options are these. Take a minute, read the option, and then try to answer. So if you read the options, then which is the correct one? Okay, very good, Sanjay. Yes. Very good, Ankit. I think the options must be now pretty easy for you guys. Based on whatever we have discussed since last 2 days, I think answering these questions must be pretty easy. Very good, Samanathan. Anyone else with some different answer or like anyone wants to answer still? before we discuss the options? Okay, let's discuss the options then. So the option number one, since the management has provided alternate evidence in the form of invoices along with the delivery challans and the written representation, CA Priyanka can consider the audit evidence as sufficient and appropriate with no further procedures required. Why can't we go for this one? Why not A?
No, sir, because based on, see, only they are giving that invoices alone on delivery challan alone, which means they are giving only the sales. Where is the receipt? See, where is the money? Whether money is received, keep on showing the invoices itself. They are boosting the data outstanding balances. That,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely correct.
that point is irrelevant. If they shown the receipt also, then good.
But still a problem. Reason
But,
because this
but
form
still
of
we
invoice,
can,
this is an
yeah,
internal
yeah.
document.
Yes, sir. Still, we cannot rely upon because since the mere the representation from the management, we cannot rely upon.
Correct. Representation, again, a problem for us. We cannot rely upon the written representation.
Yeah,
No.
we studied at the SA 580.
Yes. So written representation cannot be alone relied. Forms of invoices, again, an internal document, less reliable. Okay. And the delivery challenge. This only goes you and provides you on the sales. And that too less reliable evidence. What about receipts? Payment received. What about that? You don't have any information. You don't have any information on the payment received. You don't have any information on the subsequent adjustment. Sales return. You don't have any information on that also. So, can I accept? Answer is no. I cannot accept this. Okay. Number B. The non-response from the data constitute a significant audit risk. CAPR should consider this as a limitation on the scope of audit imposed by the circumstances and should immediately consider modifying the opinion. What is the problem in this?
So in this case, it is not the limitation of the scope. They are not responded. If the management itself coming and say no, don't go and get the evidences like that, if they imposed in that is a case, then the limitation of the scope of audit. Then we can go for modification of opinion.
Absolutely. So this is not the limitation on the scope of audit. No, that is incorrect. Rather, you can perform additional procedures and directly modifying the opinion just because you are not able to, you are not ready to perform procedures should not be a ground to modify the opinion. As a result, B is also incorrect. Yes, Sanjay. We cannot directly jump to the option of modification. Tomorrow, let's say, for example, we are trying to do the audit. We have to do fixed asset verification very far away. Let's do the modification. We are not able to do. It will save our cost. No, that should not be the approach. Just because you don't want to perform procedures, you want to keep your audit simple, you cannot modify the opinion. So that is incorrect. Let's go for the D. The auditor should send a negative confirmation request as an alternative, and if no response received, she can assume the balance is correct. Why incorrect?
Sir, actually, that positive information confirmation when you are sending, they are not responding. Definitely, the auditor thinking that when you are negative, definitely they will not send.
Yeah.
That itself, it's not constituted as a the confirmation is received.
Bonus question: when we can send negative confirmation? So, what are the scenarios where you can send the negative confirmation, or the conditions present to send the negative confirmation? Bonus question.
Sir, when there is a less pervasive audit evidence, which means that the positive confirmation is when we compare to that, it is a low. Then that case we can send it. When we studied when there is a very low exception rate, which means there is the difference is less. When we compare, we will send the last year, no. Based on that, the auditor will understand, and the risk assessment level is low, which means that sufficient and appropriate audit evidence is available through the operating effectiveness of the internal control. Based on
Yes.
that, we can select the population of the item is very large number, but it's very smaller. And also, the one more point is that auditor, based on his opinion and the past experience, the confirming party is disregarded such a request. I could not remember the full point
Yeah.
actually.
So the fourth point was that auditor is not aware of any situation where the confirming party will disregard the confirmation. That will they will pick and throw in the dustbin. Here you have that they will disregard because of the privacy rules. They will not answer you. They are going to disregard. This is the example that they are disregarding. Has a policy of not responding to any confirmation means disregarding. Okay, so they will not respond to you. So if you are aware of a situation where you know that they will not respond, at that point in time, it may become that okay, no, like if you know the situation, no, like they will not respond. And if you send a negative confirmation, it will become acceptance. So that will not be appropriate. If all the four conditions are present, then only negative confirmation can be sent. In this scenario, negative confirmation is not appropriate. Sorry. That's why the correct option is C. That is, perform alternate audit procedures, examine subsequent cash receipt, which was missing over here. Documentation, shipping documentation, specific sales invoices. So here we were seeing only forms of invoices and delivery challans. But here we are seeing the cash receipts also, shipping documents, specific sales invoices related to the year-end balance to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. So this is how we need to perform. Clear? Any doubt with this?
No, sir, clear, sir. Thank you.
Let's take one more question. Pretty easy, not difficult. Messrs. Kumar and Associate are the statutory auditor of Gravity Limited for the financial year 23-24. During the planning of audit of trade payables, the audit team selected a sample of major suppliers for sending external confirmation requests. However, the management of Gravity Limited requested auditor not to send a confirmation request to Alpha supplier, a key creditor. The management justification was that they are in the middle of sensitive negotiations with the Alpha supplier regarding a long-term pricing contract, and the confirmation request might jeopardize the ongoing discussion. The balance due to the Alpha suppliers is material to the financial statement, and management is willing to provide other evidence for this balance. As an as an engagement partner, what is the most appropriate initial course of action according to SA 505? So what you will do? Initial course of action. Simple, straightforward. We have discussed this example or this scenario before also. Okay, Sanjay? Come on, guys.
Yes, sir. This is look like the limitation of, but however, there is a further audit procedure is there. Accordingly, we can go and verify it. But it's look like the scope limitation, but slightly I'm in that line also.
Mhm.
We need to evaluate the implication of this refusal. What is the implication on the financial statement?
So implication like, can you give some example for the implication that you are referring to? Anyone? What will be the most appropriate initial course of action in this scenario? If I show you the options, you will get the answer, but I want to hear most appropriate initial course of action.
Sir, this is a material item. It's rightly stated in the question, and also it's the key creditors, which means they are the supplier to us, the purchase. Definitely, the auditor do the further audit procedure, like the recent purchases and the few months, the recent month purchases, and whether what is the credit terms they agreed between them, whether they are paying as agreed, or is there any merely they are recording that purchase entry alone to record the expenses. Based on that, if the materiality effect, we can come to conclusion that whether can based on that the finding, the auditor will go to the management. They can discuss very well with this is a situation. If they are not able to provide, then definitely they can give the qualification in the audit report.
Means additional audit procedures. To summarize, you will perform additional audit procedures.
Yes, sir. Additional audit procedure is not found fruitful. Then
Then
they can,
qualification.
yeah, then qualification after discussion with the management.
Okay. Anyone with a different answer? Anyone with a different answer? If this was for the 5 marks, then you will somewhere got half of it. There is something missing in this, in the answer. Anyone? What is missing? Okay. Very good, Sanjay. Absolutely correct. So the missing part in this scenario is read the question always appropriately, word by word. It is asked the initial course of action. That means first evaluate the refusal. Evaluate the refusal. Appropriate or reasonable rather, or unreasonable. If unreasonable, then I have a fraud risk also. Remember, here
Yes, sir.
in this scenario, they are saying just because they are in the middle of sensitive negotiation, it can jeopardize the negotiation. How confirmation can jeopardize the ongoing discussions? Sending a confirmation, how it will impact the ongoing discussions?
That will not impact anything. Whatever they are having, they are going to confirm it. What is the big difference?
So this particular part raises a fraud risk doubt. Is there any fraud risk? Because Alpha Supplier is a key creditor. Alpha Supplier is a key creditor. Alpha Supplier is material to financial statement. This is pointing toward a fraud risk. So first initial course of action is evaluate the refusal. If it is reasonable or not. If unreasonable, then is there a fraud risk? And if yes, then decide your alternate audit procedures. Directly jumping to the additional or alternate audit procedures is not the solution. You need to understand reasonable, not reasonable. Is there a fraud risk or not? If the fraud risk, then which essay will be applicable?
SA 240.
Yes, you need to apply SA 240, and accordingly you need to change the risk assessment. Once you change the risk assessment, your audit program will change, and then you need to get more audit evidence about the alpha suppliers. So
Right, right, sir, exactly.
focus on the word, what is asked in the question, and then answer. Because what will happen is, see, in MCQ you have the option, you will be able to select the option, perfectly fine. But in the case when you want to write the answer for this question, for the 5 marks, for the 4 marks, it may happen that you are writing half of the answer is still not there, and then a lot of students have a doubt that, sir, we wrote the answer but still we are not getting the marks. This is the reason, because even a single word in the question can change what you want to write or what is required to be written. Now I'm
Perfect.
sure, yeah, that I'll show you the options, you will definitely able to answer. Okay, but still go to the options and then discuss what is the correct answer. So take a minute, read the options, and then select the correct one.
B is the answer, sir, exactly.
Yep. So B is the correct answer. Risk of fraud. See, alternate audit procedures are also here, but it's not about alternate evidence or the procedures. See, if in any option there was any other alternate audit procedures, not about only that. It is about the reason for the refusal. Evaluate the risk of fraud or error, and then perform the alternate audit procedures to obtain. And if not, then understand the implication of the audit report. So B is the correct option. Clear with this?
Yes, sir. You have converted the 2 mark question as well as a 5 mark question.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually very good, sir. It's like, enlightening us, sir, like anything. Thank you.
Any doubt on whatever we have discussed today? Any doubt? Nope. So if no doubts, then what I want you guys to do, okay, go through the questions which are already given in the chapter itself. Test your understanding, or at the end of the chapter, there are questions already given. And they are very good questions. Like if you see theoretical questions, you have a lot of theoretical questions given. Okay, go through these. You have a standard wise theoretical questions, multiple theoretical questions given. Go through these theoretical questions and then try to solve. I think a lot of them are given, trust me. Then try to solve these questions, and then see that what is your answer and versus what is the answer which is given. So this is very important part. Test your knowledge and theoretical questions. Okay. Number two, read the rest of the standards that we are going to discuss. We are going to discuss SA 530 audit sampling, 550 related parties. Read that. It is already covered in depth in intermediate, but still I would like you to read the standard, so that in the next lecture when we will discuss in the detail, and you will be able to understand what we are discussing, and you will be able to ask your doubts. Okay. Also, I will start with a revision questions. Like, I will ask questions on what we discussed today in my next session. Okay. So please be ready for that. You have to answer what we discussed today in the next lecture. Okay. So read today's content or whatever we have discussed today. Read essay 530, 550, practice more, bring up your doubts. Okay. If no
Right.
further doubts, no further questions, any questions?
No, no, sir. I said that we'll read that 530 and 550 and also revise whatever we discussed, you have discussed this so far.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if no further doubts, then thank you guys. Thank you for participating in today's session. I will see you in next. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Thank you. Good night. Yes.